Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima, and I'm here checking out Bushido Blade. Technically I'm actually checking this out 6 months ago, because I actually recorded this footage 6 months ago, but it was for a video that never actually got made, and I never got around to actually using the footage until now, but it's still surprisingly good footage for me because I suck at Bushido Blade, and yet for some reason, the first run I did when I picked it up back in February, which is this run that you're watching by the way, I managed to maintain the Bushido code. You don't know what that means yet if you've never seen this game before, but for me it was actually kind of impressive just because of how bad I am at the game. And now I actually have footage of me playing 3 more runs and not being able to pull it off in any of them, so whatever, we'll work with this. So, Bushido Blade is a one-on-one fighting game, and this is a one-on-one fighting game in the era of the early Street Fighter Alpha games, Marvel vs. Capcom, and Tekken, and Battle Arena Toshinden. So, for a game to try what Bushido Blade did in the shadow of games like Tekken and what have you, make it a really interesting prospect, and the fact that they managed to pull it off so well is just a testament to how good of an idea it is. So, the game itself is a one-on-one fighter, and it's got some pretty simple controls. Your face buttons do your attacks. You've also got stances that you can do in order to change up your attacks, in order to make something faster but weaker, slower but stronger. You get the general idea. It's not too rough to think about. Where it really comes into play is the customizability and the pacing. So, by customizability, I mean that there's 6 characters, although there are secret characters that you can unlock. And there are also different weapons that they can all equip. Janadas, rapiers, swords, there's a hammer at one point. And they all have unique movesets, not only for each weapon, but when each character has a different weapon equipped, they'll usually have a unique attack or two for those weapons. And so as a result, the game has just a lot of strategy building there. Being able to find your exact perfect combination and work with that is a really satisfying process. And the last time that I played Bushido Blade, which was years ago, I spent a lot of time playing around with all of those different combinations and figuring out what it was that I wanted to get done. And it makes the game have a lot of strategy and a lot of replayability as a result, because of the way the combat works, because you can have all the fancy moves, you can have all of the different weapons, you can have all of the move combos memorized. But if they come at you and get one good hit on you, you're done. Because every single weapon in this game can kill in one hit. Even the tiny little, almost a knife swords that you can have. Even the hammer, just a little bit of a bump directly into your chest, can be enough to take you out in one shot. And as a result, every single bout, every single sword strike, every single button press is very, very tense. Because every single move can leave you open to attack, every single move can break their guard. Every little switch of stance can provide the opponent an opportunity to take advantage of that, swap their stance, and come in before you even have the chance to say, how do you do, and swing your own sword back at them. And so, just the overall tenseness of each fight is often something to behold, but it's really helped by the fact that all of these weapons reflect and bounce off each other in, for a PlayStation 1 game, really authentic and convincing ways. The way that the weapons collide with each other, I should say. The way that the effects work. And how every single move can have, like, different effects on the weapon depending where it is on the other person. You can swing right past their weapon and go for the legs, or if they've got it in a low stance, go straight for the head. And it works so well. And it's incredibly satisfying to watch everything bounce off each other in just this really believable way that makes the losses that you take all the more reasonable. Yeah, he absolutely did knock my hammer out of the way and stab me right through the chest. Because I just watched it happen. And it's entirely believable. And it's immensely helped out by the atmosphere they've got going on. Very little in the way of weather effects, very little in the way of sound outside of just your stomping around and swinging your weapons at each other. And it just creates this silent duel atmosphere where any one movement can result in the end. Without so much as... with so much as a blink, it could be dead. And it just creates this absolutely fantastic atmosphere around the whole thing. And the game wouldn't be what it is without it. It could be an entirely different theme. It could be set on space stations with sci-fi weapons, but it wouldn't feel anywhere near as special because it helps to recreate just this feeling of ancient head-to-head combat that it just does so well. I know there's probably like terms and things for it, but it just creates this atmosphere that's just absolutely lovely to drink in. It also helps that the game carries on that sort of Bushido flavor to its actual arcade mode, because the arcade mode in this game is a story mode, and it's got cutscenes at the beginning. It'll also have cutscenes at the end, but only if you manage to maintain the Bushido code. It's a little bit rough, because it can be kind of hard to predict what might break the Bushido code and what might not, but things like hitting your enemies in the back or hitting them before they're ready, like doing the pre-round taunt or what have you, or using a sub-weapon or doing something dishonorable, like throwing dirt in their face or what have you. This counts as breaking the Bushido code, and if you do any of those tactics before you end up in the second half of the arcade mode, you'll be given a little quote saying, "Hey, you're a dishonorable bastard, get back to the beginning and try again." And as a result, it just adds even more flavor and atmosphere to it. They can pull the same shit on you, and you'll just have to deal with it. But if you want to get through the entire story mode, you have to be entirely honorable. And it just adds, again, just that tiny little bit of flavor that makes this game so legendary. And I can't help but love it for it. And the cutscenes are entirely voiced in Japanese, so you get around that entire whole, it's like an 80% chance that a dub will be terrible sort of thing going on. And there's also a survival mode, where you get stuck in like 10 levels with 10 dudes each, and you have to fight them all off without dying in order to unlock the 7th character, who wields a gun, which feels like cheating. But thankfully, you can also do, like, free movement by holding down one of the shoulder buttons so that you can just, like, stay out of the way of his perfectly straight gunshots and then just stab him in the back for being an overconfident little bastard. There are a couple of other minor things as well, and I'm unfortunately sad to say that I've never actually played this in multiplayer, but with 2 skilled players going at each other with their preferred characters and preferred weapons, knowing all of their moves, and just waiting to see who makes the first mistake. I imagine that would be some of the most tense engagements in video games. Which makes it a real shame the Bushido Blade didn't carry on beyond a second entry. And even then, according to the people who played Bushido Blade 2, it did lose a lot about what made the first game special. I don't know what. Again, I've never played it. But it's interesting to hear about, at the least. So yeah, Bushido Blade. It's a genuinely wonderful example of how to change up a fighting game. Every single match, every single minute, every single second is tense. Because of the potential to be taken down in one good hit. Makes it so that you need to thoroughly consider all your strategies, all your options. And you have a lot of strategies and options, thanks to the fact that you've got 6 characters with 6 weapons, and they're all thoroughly different from each other. And they all have unique movesets depending on the combination that you pick. And the way that the weapons bounce off each other, the way that the fights play out, the way that just the general head-to-head combat works is just so inherently satisfying due to the way that the weapons bounce off each other, due to the way that the combos work, and due to the whole entire idea of the Bushido code giving you an extra challenge to go for in the single player. Makes it all just that much more interesting, even if you're just someone who wants to play through the arcade mode a few times and play around with all of the characters and weapons that you have available to you. And the presentation just nails it with the focus on not being too over the top. Quiet environments with very little in the way of weather effects. Not much in the way of sound at all, outside of the just general weapons swinging at each other and the exertions from the characters, creating this lovely atmosphere that just... I can't think of a fighting game that tops this in just general feel. And yeah, I love it. It's great. I wish I had more people to play it with. With that said, though, I'm happy to just sing its praises on YouTube for a bit. With that said, this has been Blue Maxima. I'll see you all next time.
その力も影がなくなった今、もう必要ない。うつせみ様、これでよかったのですね。でももう帰るところはない。また私は一人になってしまった。